Welcome to those of you that have just joined the Habitat on a Wing virtual tour. Really pleased to have you, and you may have noticed there's a special few that I've invited into the Google Meet, our little VIP room here, as well as the fact that we will be going live on YouTube in just a few moments. So whilst we're waiting, please say hi to us in the chat feed and tell us where you're joining us from. We can hear lots of clicks and people joining now. So we're going to be adding people one by one. Just whilst that's happening, do say hi in the chat feed. Also, if you're new to Google Meet, if you have a look at your control panel at the bottom, there's 3 dots on the far right-hand side. That's like a settings button. If you press that button and you look for the part that says layout, you can change your layout to sidebar. That's what we suggest. And the reason is because then you can see your chat feed. You can also press on people if you want to see who else is on the call, see our lovely guests who are speaking today. And of course, you get visual on all the photos and video footage that we're going to be showing you. And we're very excited to bring you some of those. And you can see some people are already chatting on that chat feed, ready to help you should you have any technical questions about using Google Meet. So we're going to start in just over 2 minutes. I know Hyman has joined. I saw him join recently. Tell us where you're joining us from, Hyman. Lovely to have you on the call. On that chat feed, I like that a lot. Even if you're a Habitat staff member, you're also a participant today. Please do say hi in the chat feed to us. Tell us where you're joining from. Is it Penang? Somewhere else in Kuala Lumpur? Overseas? We love an international crowd. And we're going to start in just over 2 minutes time. So any questions, don't feel afraid to ask in that chat feed. Got a fantastic team standing by answering any questions. We're also just chatting on a Thursday night. Nice to see and meet up with people from the like-minded community of outdoorsy types and birding types, I hope, as well. So just under 2 minutes to go. Hello, Karina. Oh, good to see you again. Thanks for joining. I've got, Jayton as well. Lovely to see you, Lau. Thank you so much. Great to see you again here. Oh, I see you've put a little image of an eagle next to your name. There's an echo on the live stream. Is there? How significant is that live stream echo, Justine? Hello. Thanks so much. Let's see if I can do something about my sound. As I've been informed, it's not so clear. Okay, just trying that now. Let me know if there's any problems with that, Justine. I'm hoping that's improved. Thank you, Hyman. Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, team. Appreciate that. Yeah, reminder, if you just joined us, please keep yourselves on mute. It also just helps with the bandwidth and the experience for everyone if your videos are also turned off. If we have a okay size group, maybe later we'll turn them on, and we certainly will take a photo at the end of this tour. So if that's the case, we will then take a photo with you. Now this timer unfortunately was restarted because I just came back on the call, but I can tell you now that we are going to start in just about 30 seconds time. And so if you've just joined us, please do say hi in the chat feed. We're really excited about showing you this virtual tour today. Okay, just after 8:30, and for those of you that have been here on time, we really appreciate that. Thanks so much. And we're going to get started on our third virtual tour series, the Habitat on a Wing. Really excited to bring you some of this footage and photographs and just be able to share experiences of what it's like being a bird Malaysia. Before we get started, my name is Chrissy Lind Hunter. I'll introduce myself a bit more later, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about how this tour is going to work. You'll see here that you can interact with us in the comment box at any time during the tour. We love extra questions. We've got a production team on standby ready to answer. In addition to that, we are live streaming to YouTube. Now, unfortunately, those people on YouTube don't get complete interaction with us. But we do have some fantastic Habitat staff on that chat feed, and they will answer any of your questions as they come up. As well as that, please stay with us until the end to be in the running to win some nice prizes. They really are nice. I've been told what they are. You just need to fill in the feedback form, and there's a quiz in that form. People who finish that immediately and submit after this tour are in the running to win some fantastic prizes. So thank you so much again for joining us today. And if you're on the YouTube or on the Google Meet, we hope that you all have a fantastic experience. So let's get started, and I'm going to bring us here. For those of you that have been to our virtual tour before, you may recognize this spot. This is the Curtis Crest at the Habitat Penang Hill. It is the highest viewing point on Penang Island. It's nestled within that rainforest as a rainforest park, and Penang itself is home to more than 200 species of birds, of which 129 species have been recorded on Penang Hill. And we're really excited because a lot of the birds that you'll see today are from Penang. They're some of our local neighbours, if you will. And I'm going to be introducing you to our fantastic guides in just a second. Here they are. This is Dave Bakewell first. He's an environmental consultant, and we asked for an official title, and this is what he came up with. It is a lifelong bird nerd.
Good evening, everyone.
Lovely to have you on the call, Dave. Dave, I've got a question for you to start with. Is what attracted you to bird watching? Why are you on this call today?
Well, I'd have to go right back to when I was very young. My father was a keen bird watcher. I used to follow him whenever he went out, whether willingly or unwillingly. And I think that the memory that I remember that when I first actually enjoyed it was a time when my father was taking part in an oiled bird survey. So there'd been some unfortunate oil spills off the North Sea. I'm from the UK, by the way. And a lot of these birds were being washed up dead on the beach. And a survey was done to try to identify how many birds and which species. And so we would walk along the beach looking for these disgustingly oiled dead birds. And when we found one, we would cut the wing off, post it, put it into an envelope, and send it off to this organization. I'm sure it would be illegal nowadays, but for a 7-year-old, that was the best thing I'd ever done. That's what got me hooked.
Sort of macabre with the environmental outsidiness of it, and you're contributing to research.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dave, and we're really grateful to you for today joining us and sharing so many of these fantastic stories, just like that one. Our other guest today, or other guide, I should say, is Amirul Hadi. He is a naturalist at the Habitat Penang Hill. Amirul, lovely to have you on the call, and I'm going to ask you the same question, which is, what got you into bird watching?
Yes, hello everyone. Before I joined the Habitat, I see all the birds are same. I don't even know them, but after I joined the Habitat 4 years ago, I do guided walks. I see lots of birds. I see their differences. And then the best thing is I see their different behavior, fantastic. And from that, I started to learn more. I joined some of bird events, and then I developed my passion into birding. The most important is it connects me to nature. Yeah. And then it's also increased awareness to nature conservation. So nowadays, when I go for outdoor activities, I bring my binoculars with me so that I can, do some bird watching activities also.
Oh, that's fantastic. So for those of you on the call who thought, I'm not really into birds, what you'll have today is Amirul's like a convert. He before wasn't so sure about them, but now there's something that are really exciting. And that's the kind of hope for today, is that you'll go through this virtual tour and you also hopefully will get a newfound appreciation for our winged friends. So my name is Christina Lind Hunter. I'm the co-founder of Greensmiths. Once again, Greensmiths, extremely privileged to be an MC and co-host for today. Greensmiths a Penang-based organization that works directly with young people because we envision a future where young people will build a sustainable planet. And we love collaborating with all these experts so we can bring their knowledge and connect our young people with nature as well. And hopefully, like Amirul, they'll all become addicted to birds too. Let me also now introduce the rest of the team for whom without we could not have done this. So first of all, on the Google Meet, you'll see Yushern Kang. She's the projects manager of Greensmiths. Thank you so much, Yushern. Any questions that you've got or technical things as well, Yushern is there to help you out. We're also very grateful to Ethan Pang. Many of you may know him. He's a senior executive at Habitat Foundation, and Ethan is manning the YouTube live streaming situation that's going on. Thank you so much, Ethan. And finally, thank you, of course, to Dr. Ahmed, who designed a lot of the flow of today's virtual tour for you. We're just so grateful again for the way that you care about everyone having a wonderful experience and learning through this. And he's the Education, Research and Training Lead at the Habitat Foundation. She hasn't mentioned herself on the slides, but Justine Vaz, of course, is also here. She's on the chat feed, and she will answer any of those questions too, I'm sure. Okay, now that's all the introduction part done. Let's get into the main part of today. And what we're going to do at the beginning is start in the morning. We're going to start by having a look at a video. This video is of us walking down Langer Way, which is a canopy walk that is at the Habitat on Penang Hill. Beautiful sight. And as we're walking on Langer Way and we soar above as if we are a bird, you're going to hear some of the morning bird calls that are common at that time. And what we would love you to do, like we've done in many of our tours before, we would love to know what you think is happening. What birds can you hear in this morning video? So I'm going to play that first, and then as you're listening to it, enjoy it. And of course, you can use the chat feed to respond and tell us what you can hear. Lovely, and thank you to Fang. Absolutely, we've been hearing the bird chirps in that video. So questions to the chat feed again. How many birds do you think were in that video? And if you are aware, which birds do you think might be the ones making those calls? Take a guess. Don't worry, there's no naming and shaming here. This is part of being part of a learning community, and we love to hear what you think. Thank you to Daya, who thinks there's 3 species. Ooh, Fang thinks she hears the calls of eagles. Love that idea. Thank you so much for that. We definitely have some loud eagles that do live on Penang Island itself. Any other guesses from the chat feed? I don't know if we've got any birders in the VIP room. Yeah. Thanks to Justine. That's always my favorite bird. The one that sounds like a bomb being dropped or like it's falling off a cliff somewhere. Thank you so much for that. Absolutely. Going to wait a few more seconds because I know it takes a little bit of time to think about it and then to type. But what other birds do you think you can hear? And bearing in mind, this is morning as well. We're walking in the mornings, having a lovely walk in Penang. Ooh, okay, we've got someone suggesting there might be a sunbird. Fang's gone for big numbers now. She thinks 10,000 birds. Love that guess. All right. Well, I'm going to welcome Dave onto the call now. Thank you so much again, Dave, for joining us. Well, Dave, I think you might know. Could you explain a bit about which of the birds are on this video? And we'll listen also to their sound as well. I'm going to bring up species 1. Lovely little chirping kind of happy noise from that bird. Dave, can you tell us something about the name of this bird and what we know about it?
Sure. This is an Asian fairy bluebird. it has this very beautiful single or sometimes double note. It sounds a bit like tulip, and it's a very typical call that you hear in the forest first thing in the morning.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, thank you. There's some people on the chat feed saying it's an awesome shot. It is a lovely video. Dave, I can see that you are in fact the person who got this footage. Where did you get it from?
Yeah, well, I actually took this at the habitat on Penang Hill. There was a fruiting tree and there were a number of these birds, and this one is actually responding to another one which is higher up in the tree. So they were having a little conversation.
Having a little morning catch up. See what's going on.
It may have been a little bit more territorial than that. He may have been saying, don't come here or I'll give it to you.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, we'll listen to some of the other species and then we'll talk a little bit about why they make these kind of noises. You referenced there that potentially could be territorial or some kind of specific communication, which I think is amazing. So we'll come and have a look at those in a second. But let's have a look at species 2. I'm going to show the picture of it and I'm going to play that sound. Lovely sound here. Ooh, I've revealed. Oh, I was hoping to play the sound again. Well, I'll play it one more time and now you all know what it's called. I'll play that just one more time. It's nice and short. Like a cute little calling sound. Dave, tell us about the green Iora.
Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations to Ayim, who already guessed that it was a green Iora. So well done for correctly getting that. So green Ioras are rather small, a bit bigger than a sunbird. Someone said about the size of a curry puff. They live right up in the tops of the trees and they're green like the leaves. So they're rather difficult to see. But once you know the song, then you will start to realize that they're actually quite common. In the forest.
My apologies for interrupting you there. You're saying that they're quite common in the forest to be found, particularly in Penang or all over Malaysia?
Anywhere where there's good forest, but Penang Island is a really good place to see them.
Wonderful. And I just love that from now on, we're going to measure birds by how many curry puffs that they represent. All right, thank you so much for that. So that's species 2. Let's have a look now at species 3. And this time I'm going to really try hard not to reveal the name straight out. Here is the picture of this gorgeous bird. And let me play for you the sound which you did hear in that video. I believe it's Justine Vaz's bird, the bomb falling off the cliff. Lovely. I'll play that one more time just so you can hear it. Love that noise. Okay, so this is the grey-throated babbler. Okay, Dave, what do you know about this bird?
Okay, well, again, well done to those who said it was a babbler. Grey-throated babblers are small, about the same size as an Iora, or maybe even a little smaller. They mostly forage on or near the ground, and they're particularly they live in forested slopes, and feed on insects and other invertebrates in general.
Is there a specific reason why it likes the slopey area?
I dare say there is, but it's just that the reason that we have so many species in the forest is that they tend to be specialists. And so this particular species likes slopes, but I don't know why.
I like that a lot. Okay, so thank you very much. I also just want to shout out to Fang. Fang obviously wasn't quite sure which type of bird it was, but you took a guess. So went for the orange Iora. And I really like that, trying to use some detective skills, seeing perhaps which birds look similar to each other. Thank you so much for the chat feed responses so far. All right, well, let's look at the last species. There were indeed 4 calls on this video that you heard. This beautiful bird. And again, I'm going to play the sounds first, and then Dave is going to reveal what it is. Lovely rhythm to this one. Lovely. I'll play that one more time, and I can see people in the chat feed have already identified. There we go. Dave, tell us just very briefly about this bird.
Okay, well, lots of people got it. It's a drongo, and this particular one is the greater racket-tailed drongo. As you can see, the tail, the outer tail feathers have these uniquely shaped spatulas at the end of each outer tail feather, and that's why it's called a racket-tailed drongo. There is another racket-tailed drongo species, the lesser racket-tailed drongo, but that lives on much higher mountains on the mainland, but nowhere in Penang.
There's some lovely comments in the chat feed. The tick sound reminds me of a frog. Nice one. And Yushan saying it's got a beat going. It's got rhythm.
Yeah. Good rhythm, yes.
Do we have a lot of different types of drongos in Penang?
Well, there are two species that are resident fairly commonly. There are another couple that come as migrants during the northern winter months. And there's another one which is just very rarely seen called a bronzed drongo.
Oh gosh! All right, so everyone be on the lookout, please, for the bronzed drongo. Sounds like a beautiful bird. If it's also potentially that sound of its color. But anyway, let's go to why birds make these calls in the morning. Now, obviously, that's often a time, even if we're not birders, that we hear a lot of bird song, particularly on Penang Island. Dave, why is that?
Why is it that we hear them in the morning?
Yes.
Well, there's a couple of possible reasons. One is that at first light, it's not really clear enough to be able to see prey very well. And so you might as well use that time for something. And so it's a great time to sing. But probably the more likely reason is these birds are waking up and saying, hey guys, I'm still here. I made it through the night. And I'm ready to do whatever the day has. I'm ready. So they're sort of announcing to one another that they're still around.
Oh, I like that. So potentially that earlier bird was being territorial, also saying, you know, I'm still here.
I'm still here, so you better keep out of my territory.
I really like that. And are there any other nuances about why they would make different types of sound as well?
Yeah, sure. There are really four basic categories for vocalizations. The one we've mentioned already, which is establishing their territory. And so they're saying to other potential rival males, particularly, stay out. Another reason is kind of the opposite of that, and that is if you're a female, come here. I'm here. I'm waiting for you. So they're trying to attract a mate. The third reason would be, especially if they are birds that travel around in flocks, is they need to keep in touch with each other. So they give these small contact calls, especially the babbler that we saw earlier, and the young birds would be making those kind of calls as well, just to say, tell their parents where they are. And then the fourth type of role that a call has is warning. If they're conscious of danger, say an eagle or even a human being, they may give an alarm call to let other birds know, watch out.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's lovely. Really interesting to, again, be able to think, well, actually, I might hear a type of call, but the bird doesn't sound exactly the same every time. It depends on the situation.
That's very true. And I think the other thing is, once you become a bird watcher, you realize that the number of birds you see is actually very small in comparison with the number of birds that are around you. So hearing and learning the calls is a really important part of becoming a better bird watcher. If you just rely on your eyes, you'll see maybe 20% of what's there. But if you can learn to identify birds by their sound, you'll start to record a lot more species.
Lovely. Thank you very much. So again, using all of our senses whenever we're outdoors, even if we can't see them, because rainforests are dense, it's not savanna, it's not safari, it's something in which we might have to use our senses to hear what's out there. So thank you so much, Dave. We're now going to have a look at a few, let me just pause that, sorry. We're going to have a look at a few more common birds, and if you could tell us a bit more. And again, these are videos that you took. I'd love to know where you took them as well. So let me just play this first video. This is the black-naped oriole. Kind of like a shy sound. That's what I hear. Those of you on the chat feed as well, if you have any comments or questions, as Dave is speaking, do feel free to use that chat feed to ask those questions. Thank you to Munira saying, yeah, the black-naped oriole. So Dave, again, what do we know about this bird?
Okay, this is a very typical garden bird, especially if you have trees. I took this at the back of my garden, actually. And it's often a bird that will fly across in front of your car if you're driving along. In fact, many of my non-birding friends will tell me, I saw this beautiful yellow bird. What was it? And this is what it was. And as Justine just mentioned, in Malay, it's called burung kunyit besar. So the large turmeric bird, because of the bright yellow color. It's a really smashing looking bird.
It is, isn't it? And it catches your eyes. It sort of flies past you. So getting some comments in the chat feed, people saying, yep, they've seen it in their hometown. Lo saying, yeah, it feels like I've heard that call near my house. Lao saying they steal the papayas in my garden.
Yes, they love papayas. Hopefully you can share.
Then that's a good point, because actually Yushan's saying they're also eating her mangoes. Wow, I mean, these cheeky Orioles, they're taking all the local fruit.
Yeah, I guess before humans were around, they were eating them already.
Absolutely, a good reminder that perhaps we're the ones in their territory. They did tell us they're there, not the other way around. All right, we're going to have a look at one more common bird. And again, for people on the chat feed, do let us know if you have any questions, or also if you've seen this bird as well. That's a gorgeous video. And actually, in fact, Dave, just before you ask any questions, I'm going to put it to the chat feed. You've just seen this bird create an action, do a little dance. Why do you think this yellow-vented bulbul has done that? What do you think is the reason for this? Ooh, there's someone on the call who's doing a final year project on bird species. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think this bulbul is doing. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, thank you to Daya as well, saying chatty bird. I think you might have been referring to the Oriole. But what do you think the bulbul is doing in this video? In fact, whilst you're typing, I'll just play that one more time really quickly. Lovely answers, aren't they, Dave?
Yeah, they're great answers.
Ahmed saying, is it intimidation? Lo saying the morning stretch. Bang and Justine asking, is this an angry bird? Everyone loves that game. Yeah, that's true. Dave, what is this bulbul doing?
Well, someone said flexing with their sort of muscular arms, and that's a pretty good description. So what we see it doing at first is it's preening. It's in the early morning, it's sat out in the sun, and it's just kind of rearranging its feathers. But then it hears another bulbul calling across the clearing, and he turns his head, and then he puts up his wings and calls out, and he's really saying, watch out, don't come here, because this is my space. So he is doing a bit of flexing, definitely.
Oh, and actually, perhaps arguably everyone got that right. The kind of intimidation, angry bird.
Absolutely.
Remember, I'm here. Lovely. Well, thank you. And thank you again for getting that video footage. I just think that's really, really special. Okay, so we're going to go on to something slightly different. I'm going to welcome Amirul. Amirul, of course, when he's in the habitat on Penang Hill as a naturalist, he takes people around the park, and we hope to welcome you in person very soon again. Remember, the park is open. Sure. So Amirul is going to take us through an activity now. And again, fingers on keyboards to be able to respond quickly. Amirul, what we're going to do?
So, all right, everyone, we will listen to these three calls, and everyone can start to guess what are those called. Either it's a birds or maybe animals. So let us listen to these three calls. So, Chrissy, can you play those three calls?
I can. Thank you so much. All right, so here's the first one, and I've been instructed to just give you a little hint, which is to listen for the high-pitched sound. Listen for the high-pitched sound. I will play it a few times. And again, you're going to listen to it again and focus on that high-pitched sound. What do you think is making this noise? All right. Fang says she definitely thinks it is a bird. Ooh, some people saying serpent eagles, raptors, crested serpent. Very interesting. I'll play it one more time. 1 second. Okay. Ooh, someone saying they're not sure what it is, but potentially it sounds small. Okay, we'll hold your thoughts and your guesses there. We'll move on to call number 2. Is that okay, Amirul?
Yes, yes. You can play the second sound.
Thank you. Okay, and this one, listen for the screeching noise. I've just seen Karina's response. Sounds like a rusty old swing. I think you're referencing call number 1. That's great. Oh, and Daya says the next one sounds like a broken motorbike. Wow, everyone just hearing all the human noises, huh? All right, we'll play this one 2 more times. What do you think is making this noise? Interesting. We've got bat, oriental magpie robin, low suggesting is it a bauble? Justine's gone for quarrelsome sparrow. Love that description. Last listen for that one, call number 2. This is the last time. Now I'm so with you. It just sounds like the crows, does it not? Every morning, guys. You just get that noise in your face. All right, Amirul, shall I move on to call number 3?
We move on to the last call.
Thank you very much. And this one, I believe in the audio, it's pretty obvious what you're listening for. So here we go. First time round. Ooh, love that. Ooh, we got people saying macaque. Okay, so we're thinking maybe not a bird. Let's listen again. And I'll let you try one more time. Yep, Daya also saying macaque comes to mind. Yuki says tiong. Ahmed said sounds like another angry bird. Everyone plays that game, huh? Last time round for you to take a guess on call 3. Oh no! Oh no, I revealed! Pretend you didn't see that. I felt sorry for you all, so I just gave you a less than a second glimpse. Okay, what have we got? Laser beam sound. Oh, I like that one. Laura's gone for monkey as well, where there's emoji. Ooh, Daya's going for dollar bird. Lo didn't see my reveal because he blinked. Well, thank goodness for that. All right, Amirul, shall we move on to revealing?
Yeah, from these 3 different calls, we might think that it comes from different birds and animals. So the first call, it sounds like changeable hawk eagle, if you hear it clearly. And then second one, it sounds like a black-napped oriole. And then the last one, yes, some of you guessing it is a long-tailed macaque. Yes, it sounds like long-tailed macaque. But is it true, Chrissy? Those sounds are made by these 3 different birds and animals?
I'm having a crisis of confidence. You're saying sounds like.
Yeah, so let me reveal. Those sounds are actually made by one species of birds.
Wow.
So it is a greater red-tailed drongo. A greater red-tailed drongo able to mimic many bird calls. So this is one of the most interesting things about drongo. So why does drongo mimic a call? Let me tell you something. Drongo mimic a call because they can join bird flocks and easy for them to get its food. Sometimes it goes to bird flocks going into and then easy for them to get foods. And then secondly, the best things, drongo follow monkey or other species of animals in the canopy, because when this animal move from branch to another branch, it will disturb insect. Insects fly away, drongo will easily get its foods. So yeah, it's quite interesting. As a return, drongo will make alarm call when there is any predator around them. That's interesting about drongo.
That's amazing. I mean, it's incredible that one bird. I mean, we know that like we often hear parrots, right? They can mimic other animals. I think that this bird that's local here, maybe we're walking through Langer Way and actually we think we've heard a macaque and it's a drongo joining that group so it can look for the insects that come up as the macaques move through the forest. I mean, that's so intelligent, isn't it? And it's wonderful to think, you know, birds are not just silly animals. They're really intelligent and they work with each other. They have relationships with other things that are in that forest. Thank you so much. Yep, lovely. Justine made a very good point. A beautiful image from Peter On. Thank you so much for that. Karina said what I thought she might say. Good game, well played. Now you know that sometimes we're not going to reveal the easy answers to you all. We're going to trick you. Thank you so much, Amirul. And then I'm going to invite you back later to tell us a bit more about some of the birds on Penang Hill. But I'm going to move us into the second part. So we've now heard all these morning bird calls. And as we're walking through the forest, as Dave says, we're not going to see everything. We're only going to see a certain percentage. And there's another reason for that. It's because actually the birds may live in different parts of the forest. So Dave, can you help us understand here, there, and everywhere, where do birds live in any forest like this?
Okay, yes. So typically in a mature rainforest, there are a number of different layers. And you can see them on this photograph here. So starting at the bottom, you have the ground, obviously, and the understory, which is kind of thick, shrubby bushes, which are maybe up to 4 or 5 feet off the ground. So that's the lowest layer. And the next one is the sort of mid-story. That's trees that are beginning to grow but haven't reached full height yet. So that's another layer. And then the next one would be the canopy of most of the trees, the very topmost part where most of the leaves and fruit and flowers are. Mm-hmm. And then this fourth layer, which is the emergent trees. There are occasionally trees that get way above the rest of the canopy. And so there are these 4 layers of forest, and of course the sky above them. And so birds live in each of these, and it's important to know a little bit about their habits so that you know where to look for them.
Thank you very much, Dave. Yeah, I really like this idea as well, that they might be sort of adapted and prefer different areas of that forest. So what we'll do is we'll have a look at some of these birds, and if you could tell us about the bird, but also tell us about why or what reasons it has for living where it lives in the forest. That would be good.
I can certainly tell you what the birds are. I'm not sure I can tell you why, but I'll try my best.
I love the view. It's a great view. Location, Dave.
It's usually to do with their food and their adaptations to that particular niche within the forest. So this is an Asian emerald dove, and it's the only green pigeon that typically feeds on the ground. All the others are up in the canopy. This one is picking up seeds, small seeds, big seeds, but almost always on the ground. And so often the first time we see this bird, it'll be as it flies off through the forest because we've just flushed it off the ground.
Oh, I see. So this one actually might be one we see more often because it's on our level, I guess.
Not really, because actually birds on the ground are more difficult to see than up in the trees because they're not against the light. So often they're in the darkest part of the forest, and it's actually very difficult to see them.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah. And obviously for this one, you've taken a photo. It's sort of in a bit of a clearing, but I guess typically...
This was taken on the forest edge, yeah. And the bird was actually feeding on some... You can just see behind the bird's tail, that yellowish patch there. That's a seed that it's been eating.
Right. Oh, thank you very much for that. Okay. Well, here's another one. Oh.
Okay. This is another ground bird, not so much in forest, but on the forest edge, especially if there are grassy areas or even just open grassland, the barred button quail. And it's one of a number of small quail-like birds that live on the ground. The interesting thing about this species is that it's what we call polyandrous. That means the female takes on the role that is typically taken on by males in birds. It mates with many males and leaves the male to look after the chicks as they, well, first of all, to sit on the eggs and then to accompany the chicks after they hatch. So, and also because of that, the females are much more brightly colored than the males because they're the ones doing the displaying.
That's so interesting. So this is a female.
This is a female. She has a black throat. So the male doesn't have a black throat at all. It's just sort of plain buff color.
Oh, lovely. And so barred button, is there a reason for the naming?
Well, it's not a true quail. So I guess it's called button quail because it looks a bit like a button. It's tiny and round. It's actually not related to the quails at all. It looks like them.
I was going to ask you how many curry puffs in size it was, but...
How many what?
How many curry puffs?
Yeah, probably about 3.
3 curry puffs, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ellis saying smart bird. Amelia saying so cool. Yeah. That's incredible. It's become a local favorite now. I see. All right, thank you. So that was the ground, and I believe now we're moving slightly upwards into more of the next story up.
Well, actually, these birds are still, I would say, birds of the lower story, the white rump shama. They don't live on the ground, but they live most of the time in the sort of thick undergrowth, probably within 6 to 8 feet of the ground. So they're a particularly beautiful looking bird, but they also have a really spectacular song. And unfortunately, that's their downfall because they're very popular as cage birds. And that's a cultural practice that's been going on for many, many years. But it does mean that, particularly on Penang Hill, the population of this species is lower than it should be. And because it's the males that sing, more of the males are taken out. There are females, but not enough males because of the trapping that goes on.
I see. Thank you very much for that. So on the chat feed, you'll see that Yushern has just put a link. If you would like to listen to the song of this bird, there is a link to YouTube. But yes, great point, Ayem. Lots of poachers do hunt this bird. And of course, we're not saying that all cultural practices are bad, but we are saying that the research is showing us that the biodiversity is affected. The ecosystem is not quite in the right place if we have so many females and not enough males. And so it's something that we need to revisit when we think about this beautiful bird. So if you haven't heard it, please do listen on YouTube, and then you'll probably understand why it's such a prized bird. If you've heard it in the wild, do let us know as well. We'd love to hear. Yep, so Lo's saying 2 years on the hill, haven't had a chance to see one yet. So maybe a bird we can think about, how can we restore this bird to our habitats here? Thank you so much, Dave. All right, let's move on to this gorgeous bird.
Okay, so now we are going up into the mid-story. So much more mature trees. This is, as it says here, a chestnut-breasted malcoa. It's the only malcoa species that's really common on the island. There are about 7 species in Malaysia as a whole. And it has a long tail. It's a member of the cuckoo family. And it hunts by moving very slowly through the foliage. In fact, you could say it sneaks around. And I wonder why you think why does it do that? Why does it move so slowly?
Great question. So there we go to the chat feed. Why do you think this malcoa is like the golem bird, sneaks through the foliage? Lau saying, nice eyeshadow, love it. Maybe he's sneaking out for a night out. Yeah, that's the idea.
It's interesting that you picked up the eyeshadow because actually the way you tell the males from the females of this species is the eye color. So the male has light blue eyes, this is a male, and the females have yellow eyes. So it's all in the eyes. It's all in the eyes. Yellow eyes. Love that. Okay, we haven't had any responses, no guesses yet. Okay. I think this bird might sneak around, but it might be taking a little while to type. So we'll leave that question for now. Okay. Well, maybe I should ask another question. What do you think it's got in its beak? Okay, another one. So what is it eating? Frank's still going with him having makeup and going out. Okay, someone's saying maybe it's overweight. Oh no, Daya, that's not why this bird is hiding. I thought we had lots of naturalists on the line. Well, we do though, because at least 5 people have guessed stick insect. Yep, that's right. It's not a stick, it's a stick insect. So the reason this bird moves so slowly through the foliage is that it's looking for these large invertebrates that are often very well camouflaged. So it needs to use its sharp eyes and, carefully scrutinizing every leaf, every twig to find its food. Yeah, that's an insect. That's a stick insect. Oh gosh, I didn't even see it the first time you showed me this photo. Brilliant. Okay, so there we answered the questions. It's sneaking after some larger insect prey. You can just about see the antennae of this stick insect going behind the E in chestnut.
Oh, yes. That would have given it away if I'd looked more carefully. Got to use my senses. Well, thank you very much. Lovely to hear we've got one type of marker on in Penang Islands.
Yeah.
Now back to pigeons. This is my favorite pigeon, I have to say.
Yeah.
Look at the colours.
Beautiful, beautiful thing, isn't it? So thick-billed green pigeons are frugivores. They're another bird of the mid-story, and they are particularly keen on figs. If you get a fruiting fig tree, as happened up on the hill recently, you could get up to 60 birds in one tree, all frantically eating these fruits. And of course, as well as just getting a very tasty, nutritious snack, what that does is it means that the seeds within the fruit go through the digestive system of the pigeon and get excreted out in another area. So it's a way for these trees to disperse their seeds. So performing a valuable role in the forest.
Yes, absolutely. Making sure that the seed movement is through that forest. And I believe we have, I'm just going to pause it for a second, a gorgeous video of this pigeon. And you have a question, I think, again, for the chat feed. Is that right?
Yep. You'll notice that this bird is wagging its tail up and down. And I'd like to ask you why you think it's doing that.
Fantastic. Okay, and thank you to Yuki. We'll come back to that question after this video. But the question is, why is this bird doing this? So cute, that little wagging tail part. So Fang says they want to fly. Everyone's just sort of stunned at how cute it is. So the question was, why do you think it's wagging its tail? Aaron says dancing. Husni says want to release. Oh, do you mean it's time to go to the toilet kind of release? Ayu's also going with, hey girl, look at my tail. This is my little dance that I'm doing. Lao says balancing. Karina's going with dancing as well. Because of course, he's in full colours, you know, doing a little show. Dave, take us out of misery. What's it doing? Okay, well, actually, there are two theories. One is that they wag their tails because it looks like a leaf that's sort of blowing in the wind, so as a form of camouflage. But another theory is that they actually use it as a signal to other pigeons, again, stay out of my space. So as they're feeding, they're sort of they're establishing a temporary foraging territory, and the tail wagging is a sign to say, keep your distance. Okay, so unfortunately, perhaps he's not looking for a partner. He, in fact, is trying to make sure he gets all the fruit in this particular area, and he's going to use his little behind to make sure that happens. A great video, by the way, Dave. Where did you take this?
That was also taken up on the hill, very close to habitat, actually just after the top station.
Lovely. So I'm hoping lots of you who are on the call thinking now, gosh, I do want to go see these birds in person. You can head yourselves up to Habitat Penang Hill, find these lovely pigeons, for example. Okay, so this was which level of the this is what I would call mid canopy. Sometimes also in the canopy of the sort of the average height of trees. So they're up in the tops where the fruits are. Okay, lovely. So getting into some sunshine around there. They're in what we call the skin of the forest, the outside bit. Oh, I like that. I like that description. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to move us on from here. Woo. Again, my videos go straight in. Lovely, aren't they? I think I have revealed the name of this bird again. Oh, Chrissy, your technical strengths have not been so good today. But again, maybe we could see what people know about these kinds of birds. So let's watch the video, see what we've got. Lovely. Got people saying, looks so fluffy. Kenzo saying, yep, looks like a woodpecker. Absolutely. And this one is called a rufous woodpecker. Is there anything specific about why it has that name, Dave? Well, can you guess? The fact that it's entirely rufous might be, yes, it's because of the color. I didn't know that was a color. I was like, oh, is there a cartoon character? No. Rufous is a color. I'm learning. A kind of reddish brown color. Oh. Similar to chestnut. So rufous woodpecker is the commonest woodpecker on the island. There are about
3 or 4 species that can be seen here. And this is a bird of getting right up into the tops of the trees, but particularly if there are dead trees, because they are termite and ant feeders. So they are pecking away at the surface, the bark, in order to get at the insects that are frequently making their home in dead trees.
Yes, absolutely. So again, Fran was saying she couldn't hear any noise. No, there wasn't the typical tock, tock, tock sound of a woodpecker.
No, it wasn't drumming. No.
More of a, I suppose, a dead tree is not going to give you all that much noise.
Well, it might do, but in this particular video, it's actually just feeding. It's looking for grubs or looking for ants.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much. And I believe there's another woodpecker here. Gorgeous haircut. The common black woodpecker.
Okay, I have another question for you here. So this is the other common species on the island, the common flameback. Why do you think, you'll notice it's not on a tree. Why do you think it's perched on this metal, whatever it is, device?
Yeah, that's right. I don't know what that is. Okay, what answers have we got?
Why do you think it's on a metal pole?
Fang says she's not sure. Oh, Lau's just saying from earlier, you always hears these ones laughing. Make good sound in their flight. But any ideas why? Okay, Ahmed saying mistaking the metal pole for a tree. Lau suggesting could it be a vantage point? Oh, Ahmed, the bird is evolving and likes to eat rust, potentially, or use the rust. Maybe it's something to do with the beak. Yes, Justine saying she has seen it, quite commonly that woodpeckers are on telephone poles, that kind of thing. Or I am saying maybe there are grubs or larvae actually attached to the pole itself. I'm just trying to find them there, trying to get the larvae. Andy Lee also saying trying to catch some insects. Great range of responses there. What do you think, Dave?
Okay, well, actually, in this case, it's not there for the food, but as a good headbanger, it knows that metal is louder. And so like all heavy metal fans, they know. So woodpeckers also drum to display. And our modern woodpeckers have realized that a lot of these metal structures, if they drum them, will make a much louder noise than if they drum on a wooden tree. And so it's actually enhancing its ability to attract a mate.
That's fantastic. I also love that you kept a theme there. So now we'll all remember the common flameback metal-loving woodpecker.
Headbanger, yes.
Headbanger outfit as well. Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dave. That's really interesting. Okay, are we still at the same area of the forest now? With these
we're now really up into the what we call the emergence, or the very exposed branches, although neither of these birds are sitting on a tree. They're all both on a metal construction. But these are birds that live or like to perch right out on the outermost branches of trees. And the reason is, again, connected with food. As you can guess by the name of the bird, they like to eat large aerial flying insects like bees, but including dragonflies and beetles. And so they will sit up on an exposed perch and dash out and catch them on the wing.
Oh, wow. Has to be pretty accurate about the way it does that. So we're going to watch a video of this one. I believe, again, it's a video from you. There we go. Absolutely beautiful. So you're suggesting that potentially it's there is a bit of clearing around this bee because it's looking for things that are flying in the air around it?
Yeah, so you'll notice in the video, actually, it's looking around. You can see it turning its head. And so it's looking for, it's chosen a sunny spot where there may be dragonflies or bees hawking or feeding, and it'll dash off and catch them on the wing. This species is particularly typical of Penang Island. It only occurs in the northern part of the peninsula. So if you're from KL, you need to come up to Penang or somewhere up in the north to see one.
Oh, lovely. It's our local bird. So lovely, what a beautiful bird it is. Lo, it's apparently his favorite bird. Nice to hear that, looking at all those colors of that one. So I believe there is also one more question for the chat group.
Right. So here's a picture of one with a bee in its beak. And you may be thinking, well, how can they swallow such a bee has a sting, right? So they often will bash it on the branch or the pole next to it to rub off the sting or to get rid of the poison. But my question is, how many bees do you think a bee eater can eat in a day?
Great question. All right, so that's the chat feed. How many bees does this little bird, how many curry puffs is that bird? 2?
Oh, end to end, probably 3, but they'd have to be a bit squashed because it's a very slim bird.
Yes, you're right. My curry puff sizeometer is not working very well, is it?
Yeah, it's more like a banana sized, I guess.
Let's go bananas. Yes, all right. We'll change our type of measurement. Okay, so Frank says 10,000 again. Karina, 50. 20 to 30 says Keith. Kenzo Keith. Kenzo Kwan says 20. Amelia on 100. And we got another person saying 10. So we've got between 10 and 10,000 as a range. Landing around the 30 mark. How many bees then, please, Dave?
Well, I think if they ate 10,000, they'd never get off the ground. But yes, to a certain extent, it's true, depending on the supply. And they don't just eat bees, of course. But studies have shown that they'll eat between 250 and up to 800 bees in a day. That's a lot. But they also eat non-bees as well. So
yes, so thank you so much.
Beekeepers don't like them much, but they also keep down other species of large flying insect which compete with bees. So they're not a bad thing to have around.
Yeah, lots of shocked faces on the chat feed after that fact. Thank you very much, Dave. Yeah, I'm just seeing some go, that's so many. Yes, and that sort of interesting question of like, don't we want to keep the bees? We need them for pollinators. But as you said, look, it's actually about balance. It's going to have other things around it as well.
Right.
It's amazing. Well, thank you so much. And again, these are fantastic photos. Well, thanks to Peter Ong for this one here. Okay, the brown-backed needletail. So now we look like we're in the sky.
Yes, so now we've gone right above the forest. And there are certain species that exploit this area above the forest. And this is one of them. It's a kind of swift. And it's actually the largest swift we have in Malaysia, the brown-backed needletail. And they feed on swarming insects like termites and insects that tend to get caught up in thermals. So they can go very high. Often we don't see them because they're out of sight. But if it's stormy or if rainstorms are coming, they'll often come down and we can get good views of them.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much. Well, I'm going to again invite Amirul back on because Amirul, in his naturalist job, as we said, will often set you some more tasks. And now you know he's going to try and trick you.
Yeah, we will have some guessing game now, but Brongo won't fool you again. All right. Yes. So the question is, which is faster than a needletail? So we have some answer here. A is ostrich, 70 kilometer per hour, and then we have merlin, 80 kilometer per hour, and then we have cheetah, 93 kilometer per hour. So everyone can guess which is faster than a needletail. I see lots of you will choose C, a cheetah, 93 kilometer per hour. So
we've got one A and one B, but most
so,
would you like to reveal, Amirul?
Yeah, I think we will reveal all the answers given are actually wrong, because needletail can go up to 170 kilometers in horizontal flight, such a faster bird going in flight directions. So
in a horizontal flight, you mean, across the sky? Is it like that?
Yes, in horizontal flight like that.
Amazing. Lots of people in the chat feed going, trick question again, trickster Amirul. You're everyone's favorite person now. All right. Well, here we have the next one I believe you're going to introduce us to. I'm going to come back to Dave first, just to give us a little bit of detail about this gorgeous bird. This happens to be my husband's favorite bird. And then we'll come back to Amirul. So Dave, tell us about this gorgeous peregrine falcon.
Okay. Well, peregrine falcons actually live in almost every part of the world. There are many, many different subspecies of them. And in Malaysia, we have a resident which lives here all year round. And probably we have one or two pairs of the resident race on the island. But then we also have migrants that come to us from Northern Asia during the northern winter months. And so, as you can see, it's a chunky, fairly large falcon that feeds on other birds mainly.
Lovely, thank you so much. And it was mentioned earlier, someone was asking what they thought was faster than a needletail. Someone actually, in fact, mentioned the peregrine falcon. So Amirul, I'm bringing you back on again.
Yes, so for the next one, how fast is the peregrine falcon when diving? So we have F1 car at 300 kilometers per hour and also a bullet train 360 kilometers per hour. So we have A, it's slower than the F1 car, 300 kilometers per hour, or around 300 kilometers to 360 kilometers per hour, B, and then C, faster than a bullet train, 360 kilometers per hour. So you can write your answer again on the chat box. Yes.
Everyone's going to be worried about answering now. All right, B, B, C, B. Low's going for D. Low, there is no D. A is from Fang Husni, also saying A. C's. Oh, Aaron thinks that this entire question is a trick question and it cannot dive. Promise it's in the air, not in the water. All right, Amirul, would you like to reveal?
Yeah, now I will reveal. So peregrine falcon can dive up to 390 kilometers per hour. One of the fastest animals in the planet Earth. So amazing creatures, this one.
Amazing. So those who that went for C, yes, you were right this time.
Yep.
Thank you for the photo, Dave. Lovely capture, especially knowing they've gone this fast. I'm sure it must have been a little bit of work to make sure you got that photograph. So thank you. Okay, just finishing off our part of where they live. These ones are also the sky birds. Dave, can you tell us a bit about swallows?
Sure. So swallows are another kind of bird that exploits the sky or the air above and around the forest. This is our resident Pacific swallow. You may have seen them nesting in your porch or underneath sort of a horizontal roof surface. We also have several swallows that come here during the winter as migrants from further north. Often people ask me, how do you tell a swallow from a swift, or are they the same? So I thought I'd maybe ask you that question. How would you tell a swift from a swallow? Any ideas?
Lovely. Thank you to Manira saying these are very common around us. Yep, you might be seeing some just before the sun went down. Manira suggesting the shape of the wing could potentially be a way you see difference. Ooh, Ellis Ishak saying flapping patterns. Kang also saying the tail. Kenzo Keith, tail or wings. Okay, so we're going for sort of physiological differences at the moment. Ooh, Kenzo's also said redhead. You can see in the image that the barn swallow's got a lovely red head. Dave, tell us.
Okay, well, those are great answers, and you've got most of them. I mean, they're all correct, pretty much. But I want to say, first of all, if you see a bird perched on a wire, that's a swallow, because swifts actually can't perch on anything other than vertical surfaces. Their legs are so short and their wings are so long that if they land on a horizontal surface, they can't take off again. So anything perched on a building or a wire is going to be a swallow unless it's on a vertical surface. So that's the first thing. I think some of you have mentioned the color. Yes, swallows are more colorful. They tend to be glossy blue and bits of red or pink on them, whereas swifts are basically brown, black, and white. Someone else, Munira, mentioned the shape of the wing. Yes, that's another one. Swallows have more triangular shaped wings. Swifts are more of a crescent shape, very long and thin. And somebody else mentioned the flapping pattern, Elise or Ishak. Yeah, swifts tend to flap up and down, a bit like a bat, whereas swallows often will row their wings back against the body. So it's a quite different flapping action. And then someone else mentioned the tail. Not all swallows have such deeply forked tails as this one. So it can be helpful, but not always, because some swallows have tails that are very similar in shape to the swifts. Yeah, so that's basically it. The colors, the flapping style, the wing shape, and of course, if you see it perching.
Right. Gosh, I feel very sad if it landed and couldn't get back up again.
Well, occasionally I do find them. They've hit the deck and they're stuck basically, unless you could give them a helping hand.
A little push, a little throw into the air. Thank you so much, Dave. Okay, we're into the final part of our virtual tour. Remember that we had our morning walk. We heard all of those morning calls. And then we decided to have a look at each of the different layers within the forest, see what birds like to live in different parts, what kind of habits they had, and some fantastic photos there. But for those of you now that thought, great, I'm kind of into birds now, I like them, now I can also hear them and I can see them and I can identify them. There's a little problem with that. Apparently, the same bird could look different at different situations or times. So we're going to have a look at some birds who, just like Amirul, are trying to fool you all the time in this last section called I Didn't Recognize You in That Dress. So we're going to start here with the aptly named changeable hawk eagle. Dave, I cannot believe this is the same bird.
Well, yep, all three photographs are the same species. It's a little bit of a misnomer, though. They're not really changeable. No, the birds don't change, but they are probably, you could say, bimorphic. That is, they have different morphs. So the bird on the far left is a pale morph, adult, changeable hawk eagle. The one in the middle is a dark morph. And the one on the right is a juvenile. So there are three ways in which birds can be different in appearance. One is if they have different morphs, like this one, which is not very many species. Another one is their age. So, for example, the juvenile will look different from the adult. And the third way they can be different is in the gender. The female can look different from the male. But in this case, it's because they have these two different morphs, and it doesn't necessarily mean that one is always the female or one is always the male. It seems to be more random than that.
Oh, right. So in fact, did you mean that females, even the same, even the female morph of a hawk eagle could still look slightly different from other females? Is that what you mean?
What I mean is that we can't tell by looking at them here which one is the male and which one is the female, or even if they may be both the same sex, because they have this weird thing where they can sometimes be dark and sometimes be light.
Fantastic. I kind of love that diversity. Yeah, that's actually, someone's already said, one of the most confusing to identify is this changeable hawk eagle, because you're not quite sure what you're looking at sometimes. Thank you so much for that. Okay, we're going to have a look at some other ones with these sort of changeable habits in a little while, but you mentioned there about colors, and we're going to have a look at this. Would you like to just give a little bit of context what we're looking at?
Yeah, so this is a pair of changeable hawk eagles. Interestingly, opposites attract. And so we often see that in pairs, there's one light and one dark. Now, in this particular pair, the smaller one, the back one, is the male, because males are about 30% smaller than the female. And so they're chasing each other in some courtship display.
Fantastic.
The thing to do is to look at the shape, because the color is variable, but the shape is fairly consistent.
Do you mean between the genders?
I mean, both of these birds have got similar shaped wing with a bulge at the back. And so that's the way that you tell them from other species. Got
it. Yes, lovely. Thank you. So almost like look at the profile of that bird. Even if the colors are different, you're looking for something with some similarities in them. Well, thank you for that, very much for that. We're going to have a look at some other ones as well. I'm just going to move on from this video. Here we have the Asian fairy bluebird.
Okay, yes. So right at the beginning, we saw a male singing or calling to another male. But here we can see the male, which is on the right, and then the female on the left. And you might not recognize them as the same species because they really do look quite different in terms of their color. Why do you think that might be? Why do you think it's generally true that females are duller than males? Any thoughts on that?
Great question. So apart from our button quail.
Yeah, there are some exceptions, but in most cases, males are the bright ones and females are the dull ones.
And what do we think is the reason why the females are generally duller colors? Elish Ishak saying to protect the babies, like one. Any other responses? Why they might look so different? Amelia saying so beautiful. Yep, absolutely agree with you. Something nice. Ahmed, male has to look good to get the females. Gotta dress up. Ahmed, as if you're also saying males wanting to attract the females. What do you think?
Yep, I think you're all spot on. Males normally do the flirting. That's right. So first of all, males do need to look bright because the females like the bright ones. They tend to go to the brightest males. And secondly, the other point which someone else mentioned was females will be drabber because they are usually the ones that sit on the nest, and they're particularly vulnerable at that time because they come back to the same place and stay there for many hours and days, weeks. So they need to have plumage that doesn't draw attention to themselves so much.
There's some lovely responses. Yeah, Justine, yep, no time for dull males. Fantastic.
That's why I'm wearing my red t-shirt today. I hope you know this.
That's right, we all got our main colours. I've gone for drab to try and be a bit more camouflage with my hat. That's what I'm doing. Thanks very much. Okay, let's have a look at, yes, another bird. And I think this was a very good point you made earlier about looking at the profile, because if I had seen these two next to each other, there's no way I would have thought that this was the same sunbird.
Yes. So if you get into birding, you realize it's not just the colors that are important, but the shape and the size. So this is a bird that's probably half a curry puff or less. It's a tiny little bird. It's a nectarid. That is, it feeds mainly on the sweet nectar that's produced by flowers. And this particular species is a speciality of the hill and the habitat, usually up in the canopy. But if there are flowering plants, then they come down and you get a chance to see them. The female is very drab and inconspicuous. The male is just a riot of color.
Absolutely. I mean, look at that. Again, for any of you that have been told, try and dress in natural colors. Now that you know, nature has complete monopoly over all the crazy colors as well. You can wear whatever you like. There's red as Davis or anything like that. Lovely. And again, you can find this in Penang.
Yes, this is a particular speciality, actually. It's one of the best, the botanical gardens at the base of Penang Hill or up on the hill itself. If you can find a flowering tree, then this bird may well be in attendance.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Yeah, a lot of people saying, got to keep an eye out for this one. Ahmed Zafir's got a question for the crowd. How many colors can you see on that male bird? And Lo also saying, gosh, I've seen the female, but it's not seen the male yet. How many colors are on the male bird? Ooh, Ellis Ishak saying we found one next to the base of the zip line. Incredible. A very beautiful bird. All right, well, we are getting to the end of our virtual tour today. And so it does give us a little bit of time to do a Q&A session. Thank you to Ian Chu there for saying he thinks 6 colors. Actually, you're right. Let me go back to that image. I can see sort of electric frozen blue, the pink and the purple morphing in there, red front, a little bit of something shiny there, as well as the black and the brown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 7, something like that. Yeah, lovely, incredible bird. And the poor female, she's just being camouflaged with about 2 colors there. All right, but we're into the Q&A part, and that means we'd love to hear any of your questions that you have about the birds or also about the work that Dave and Amirul are doing in terms of making sure people are aware of what's around us in Penang. So if you have a question for either Amirul or Dave, please could you write your question into the chat feed now, and also could you please tell us who you'd like to direct that question to. Just say this question's for Dave, XYZ. In particular, I'm always going to ask this question just while people are writing, but where do you think is a great place? Of course, the habitat Penang Hill, but maybe somewhere specific that you like to go birding, Dave, on Penang Island?
Well, on Penang Island itself, anywhere around the back end, what we call the back end of the island, I guess it's the west coast, so around Pulau Betong and Balik Pulau. So there's a nice mosaic of orchards and paddy fields and mangroves and mudflats. So we're very fortunate still to have that sort of diversity on the island.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, we could do a whole thing on mangroves and their birdings, couldn't we? All right, I've got a question here from Ellis Ishak. Do the birds see colors differently? Oh, interesting question.
That's a great question. And the answer is yes, they do. studies have shown that many birds see ultraviolet light in ways that we can't. And so what may look like for example, a bluish black bird, they may see as having many, many more colors. In fact, even the sunbird that we were looking at earlier, it's difficult to know how many colors are on that bird because the feathers actually are iridescent. So the color will change depending on the angle to the light. But yes, birds do see color differently from how we see it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that question. Great question. Okay, Lo is saying, I've seen the male Asian fairy bluebird sort of dances with its wings in front of the female. Are they known to do that behavior?
Amirul, have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen it a few times. They might try to attracting females. With that kind of like a dancing like that.
Nice, like a courtship dance. Yes, Lo, we think that could be a common behavior that this particular bird has done. Thank you, Amirul. Okay, Ian asking, how many kilometers can the eagle, I see, how far can an eagle see when it's in the sky? How many kilometers? Any ideas from you, gents?
From either of us?
Either of you, because I don't know.
No, I'm afraid I don't know either, but I'm sure it's something you could Google. But they certainly have eyesight, which is many times better than ours. And they do have the ability to spot prey from extraordinary distances.
Amirul, any ideas?
I'm not really sure about that, but yeah, I would agree with Dave.
Yeah.
With Dave answer, yeah.
And perhaps something about lots of those birds within that species, and also similar birds of raptors like that. That's a benefit for them being in the sky to have good view. So Kenzo keeps saying he thinks it's sort of 1 to 2 kilometers away. I think it might be a lot more than that. But if anyone likes to Google that and share that with the crowd, that would be great. According to the video on the peregrine, they can see prey a mile away. Thank you, Justine. Okay, a loud asking question. Sometimes I can hear swifts making clicking sounds, kind of from flapping their wings while they're flying. What is that for? I think my question's for you, Dave, first, but Amirul, please do step in if you have enough.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm glad. That's a good question, and it shows you being very observant. So a certain family of swifts use clicks in much the same way that bats do. They're echolocating. And so what they're doing is they're emitting these very sharp noises and then listening for the echo that bouncing back. Because most of these swiftlets nest in very dimly lit places, typically in caves, although nowadays, of course, many of them nest in sort of what we call swiftlet hotels. But the reason that they do that is because it's also to locate prey as well. So locating prey and also to make sure they don't fly into rock faces.
Thank you very much. Yes, I've got one. Amirul, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Did you have something you wanted to add?
No, I just read one open question. Is there any particular ways we can advise the bird catcher to stop or limit their practices, as it closely related to cultures and traditions? So I think some of conservationists should go to some of those kind of traditional things. I mean, we try to explain to them the importance of not to catch a birds. Again, we try to explain to them the numbers of those species are going down and it will disturb the ecosystem, and they should understand about that. I think they should realize that kind of things.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm struck by the kind of idea that if we had, like all of us, had a real connection and understanding of our local community and our local habitats, we would recognize changes in them, right? If we were really connected and if we were watching it all the time. And something about our fragmentation, something about the way our lifestyles are now, do give us a distance. That means sometimes we won't see this damage till it's too late. And I like your idea, Amirul, that we might bring people together and then they can experience it, not just don't do this, but come and see. There was a time there were so many more shamas and now we can't hear any. What do you think we can do together to solve this problem so that for the many, many years in future, we can still have and celebrate cultural traditions, but we don't decimate our habitats in the process?
Yeah, it's true.
Okay. Thank you. I need to take just one more question, probably. I've got, so many here. Let's go with, there was someone earlier, I missed you, and I think I should come back to you, that's why. Ian, why do changeable hawks, eagles swing their tail when they perch?
Wow.
Amirul, any ideas? I'll come to you first.
I don't have any idea about that.
That's all right, no problem.
Yeah, I never seen the changeable eagle doing that.
Oh, okay. All right, so kind of a new behavior. Dave, what do you think?
I also have no clue. I've seen them do it. I don't know why they do it. Maybe they just, I think perhaps what they might be doing is just reshuffling their feathers. If they've been flying a lot and possibly one or two feathers have got out of sync with the others, then sort of swinging their tail might just sort of shuffle the pack a bit and make them feel a bit more comfortable. But honestly, that's just a wild guess. That's the great thing about birding, is there's so many things we really know so little about still.
Absolutely. And what I love as well is having both of you on the call saying, hey, there's so much we're still learning. That's why we enjoy it. That's why we're into it. Is that we have lots of things still to learn about why our species do certain things, or why the birds that we love even, we're not even sure why they do certain things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to have to wrap us up there for time. I know people on the chat feed, there were a few more questions, but the production team who have been looking and responding to all of those, we will try and capture any that we haven't so far been able to do. But first of all, let me just say a massive thank you. Firstly to Dave Bakewell, thank you for your videos and footage and for sharing with such passion your love for these birds with us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
And thank you so much, Amirul. I think it's wonderful to have somebody who's locally up that mountain all the time, looking at things and shared that story that things have changed, right? That you've had a grown interest in birds as a result of it. So I really appreciate all of your responses and for tricking us in all of those quizzes as well.
Yes, thank you. And I hope that all of us can go up there, visit us at the habitat. We have treetop walks and also our canopy bridge is the best place to spot those bird species. Walk with the guides. You might see some things around.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, well, it just leaves me to say a few things. Don't leave just yet. Please do fill in the feedback form and participate in the quiz that is in that form, because winners will get some books and vouchers from the Habitat Penang Hill. You need to try and do it as immediately as possible because it's kind of first whatever comes in. So please do that. And that feedback form link has gone into the chat feed. Thank you, Fang. She says she fills it in every time. You're an absolute star, Fang. Thank you so much. So a thank you from the Habitat Foundation and from Greensmiths. You can follow both of our work at our websites or on social media. You'll see our Facebook names and our hashtags there, the hashtag the Habitat Foundation or Project Greensmiths, especially because we're hoping as the MCO begins to ease to welcome much more of you, in fact, back to the places that we love to visit and see all of our animals in person. Exciting news is there is another virtual tour series happening soon on the 20th of July, 8:30 p.m. in the evening. We're doing Primates of Malaysia featuring Peter Ong and the Malaysian Primatological Society, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. There's such a powerhouse of research going on in this part of Malaysia as well as across the whole of Malaysia. And we're very excited to be able to share with you, just like Dave and Amirul have shared so much of their passion as well. So two things need to happen. The first one, I'm going to give us a moment to just say goodbye. You'll see a lovely video of the night falling over Curtis Crest. Please do stay just after that. We're going to try and take a group photo for those of you on the Google Meet, and you get a chance to see if your bandwidth can withstand it all. Put your video on and we'll take a group photo together. So first of all, thank you so much. Let's just enjoy this nighttime view. lovely way to end today. Thank you so much to the Habitat for hosting it. It's been absolutely fantastic. So, as I said, please don't quite leave just yet. We're going to try and take this photo. So, if you can now try to put your videos on, and this is where everyone's computers just crash. And I'm going to put us onto a tiled view. Oh my gosh, Husni now has 4 pictures of spiders on his profile picture. Not a single one of him, but amazing. If you could please put your videos on now, we're going to try and take a photo. I'll do about 10 seconds. Love to see all your smiling faces. Hi, Daya. Nice to see you. There's Fang, our primary student. Fantastic work, Fang. You were great. Well done. Hello, Kenzo, as well. Really good to see you. Okay, everyone ready for the photos? I'm going to count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And one more. Your happiest birding face. 3, 2, 1. Husni said something. Husni's saying smile. He's not really doing it. Okay, well, it's just for me to say thank you so much again for joining us. Thank you again, Dave and Amirul, and to all the production team who have been helping to make this a reality. If your friends couldn't make it, invite them to the next one. Bring them to the Habitat Penang Hill. Or, of course, join us on YouTube to see the recording if you'd like to do that. That's at the Habitat Penang Hill's YouTube page. All right, farewell, everyone. Thanks so much. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much. Just going to start ending the call. Apologies, I may remove you just so we can move on. Bye, Fang. Take care. Bye. Bye, Husni.